How many times have you bought a smart gadget and realised it's only smart if you download yet another bloody app? Welcome to Foxy's Lab. I'm Foxy, your guide through the murky depth of the Internet of Things. And today we're talking about Zigbee2MQTT, the bridge that lets all of your Zigbee devices talk to each other without relying on cloud services or locked-in ecosystems. So, go grab a coffee, I'll get one too, and then we'll get into it. Zigbee2MQTT, or Z2M if you want to sound all fancy like, and I do, so that's what I'm going to call it from now on, is an open source project that allows smart home devices that use the Zigbee protocol to talk to one another. If you've never heard of Zigbee, here's a quick version. It's a wireless standard that uses a low power mesh network, so your smart bulbs, sensors and switches can talk to each other directly instead of clogging up your Wi-Fi bandwidth. The trouble is, even though Zigbee is a standard and everyone technically speaks the same language, Zigbee's a bit like the UK, in that we all speak English, but we all have really strong dialects and no one can understand anyone that lives more than 20 bloody miles from their front door.
And at least speak English.
So that's where Z2M comes in. It's a translator that understands all of the dialects and translates all of the chatter into MQTT messages. So anything that speaks MQTT, like Node-RED, homeassistant, or your own scripts, can suddenly understand what all of your devices are saying. Here's a quick history. The project started back in 2018 when developer Koen Kanters, I hope I'm pronouncing your name right, wanted to get his Xiaomi sensors working with Home Assistant without buying yet another vendor hub. At the time, most Zigbee integrations relied on closed firmware or expensive hardware, or both. So Koen built a bridge that spoke plain MQTT, and he released it on GitHub as an experiment. Within months, other developers jumped in, adding support for more adapters, more brands, and more devices. Fast forward to today, and Z2M supports thousands of devices and has one of the most active smart home communities on the internet. At the heart of Z2M is the coordinator. It's basically a small USB stick or board that acts like the communications hub of your Zigbee network. You plug it into a server, Raspberry Pi or mini PC, install Z2M, and then the coordinator handles pairing, naming, and managing all of your devices for you. Once a device joins the network, Z2M listens to it and republishes everything it says over MQTT topics. It also lets you send commands back, turn the lights on, read sensor data, trigger automations, whatever you fancy. So effectively, Z2M turns the chaos of proprietary hubs into one clean local system. Z2M solves a key issue confronting many smart home enthusiasts today. Most Zigbee products ship with their own hubs. Hue, IKEA, Aqara, you name it, and each one wants to trap you inside its own little ecosystem. Z2M stamps its foot and says, absolutely not. While you're under my roof, you'll obey my rules. And so you get one unified network, fully local, fully under your control. No app juggling, no vendor lock-in. In fact, no data being sent outside your network at all unless you want it to be. You're the one who's in charge. Once you've got it running, you can mix and match devices from just about any brand and have them all working together like they were designed that way to begin with. Even if you don't care about privacy, local control really matters. It's the only way the smart home world's ever going to survive long term because there are too many companies out there who just can't be trusted with your devices. Philips Hue, for example, decided their original hub was too old and forced everyone to upgrade if they wanted to keep using their smart home. And literally this week, Logitech killed off every Logitech pop button, even though people paid good money for them just because they didn't want to support it anymore. So anyone who chose Logitech as their button provider of choice can no longer turn the lights on in their house. What a ridiculous situation. Honestly, Logitech, shame on you. With local control, of course, that can't happen. The only server is yours. There's no cloud server, no remote shutdown is possible. That button is 100% under your command, and it will keep working for as long as you want it to. Z2M is tech, and where there's tech, there's jargon. So let's go through the main ones quickly. First, let's cover some Zigbee terms. I'll be very brief on this as I plan to do a much deeper dive into Zigbee itself in another video. The coordinator is the brain of your Zigbee network. I talked about this earlier, but let's quickly recap. It forms the network, manages the devices, and stores the routing table. It's a hardware-based device and is usually in the form of a USB stick. A router is a device that relays Zigbee messages to strengthen and extend your Zigbee mesh network. Usually it's mains powered, so things like bulbs and plugins. An end device is a generally battery powered device that connects to a router or coordinator. It usually only wakes up to send data and doesn't extend the mesh. So think sensors, buttons, or remote controls. Pairing is the process of adding new devices. If you've ever paired a Bluetooth device, it's the exact same thing but using a different protocol. If both device and coordinator are in pairing mode, The device will be discovered and added to the network automatically. There are some MQTT terms that will be useful to know, but I've already covered them in a previous video, so check that one out if you want to know more. Okay, now let's focus on terms that are specific to Z2M. Converters tell Zigbee2MQTT how to interpret data from specific devices. If a new gadget isn't recognised yet, somebody will probably write a converter for it soon. Think of it like a teacher that teaches someone from Newcastle how to speak to someone from Glasgow, but instead it's teaching an IKEA device to speak to MQTT. A network map is a visual diagram showing you how all of your other devices connect to each other. It can be quite intimidating at first, but it's really useful for diagnosing weak links in your mesh. In my setup, Zigbee2MQTT is the gateway between the physical world and my automations. When I press a Zigbee button on the wall, that signal goes to MQTT, gets translated into MQTT, and then Node-RED handles the logic. From there, it can toggle lights, log data, or trigger automations in Home Assistant. It doesn't matter if the button's Aqara, IKEA, or something cheap from AliExpress. Z2M doesn't care. If it speaks Zigbee, it's welcome in the club. The beauty of Z2M is that it gives you complete local control. There are no vendor apps required and no servers halfway across the planet deciding if your light can turn on. It's open, stable, and once you've got a few routers in place, it just works. And that's where the fun starts, because once you've tasted proper local automation, you will never want to go back. Because not only is local automation more secure and reliable, it is lightning fast as well. Z2M is amazing, but it's not perfect, so let's dive into the gotchas. Some devices are eccentric. Not every manufacturer sticks to the Zigbee specification, so you might lose features or find that they won't pair properly. Aqara can especially be a sod for this. There are even pairing differences between their own devices. Thankfully, the Z2M website is absolutely incredible and will not only tell you which devices play the nicest, but will even show you how to pair most of them. On a similar note, some Zigbee devices just will not be compatible and likely never will be. Thankfully, these are few and far between and are usually limited to devices which are not consumer grade. So, for example, there are lots of Zigbee compatible smart energy meters out there which are provided and maintained by your power company, but very few of them will allow you to pair them with a device that they themselves did not provide. Your mesh needs routers to stay healthy. If you only have battery devices, it will probably be a bit flaky. Make sure you have smart bulbs and smart plugs, that use Zigbee obviously, scattered around the place to keep your mesh strong. Another benefit of having routing devices is that they not only extend the range of your Zigbee mesh, they also expand the number of devices you can use on it. Many coordinators have a limit to the number of devices that can be connected to it, and that's usually around 20. But that limit is only for devices that are directly connected to the coordinator. So if you plan your network well, there's virtually no limit to the number of devices you can connect, provided you have enough routers. Firmware updates can occasionally break compatibility. This is the point where your devices are speaking to the manufacturers, so it's a really good opportunity for them to screw you over. So if it's working fine, maybe don't touch it. And finally, don't plug your coordinator directly into a USB 3 port. They are noisy and can interfere with the signal. If you must plug into a USB 3 port, use an extension lead or a USB 2 hub. I treat my coordinator as if it were a Wi-Fi access point. I have it plugged into a long extension cable and have that mounted high up on the wall where there is minimal interference. Rule 1. Use plenty of routers. The density of the mesh, the happier your network. Try to make sure that there is at least one plugged-in device in each room, or if you're feeling brave, you can use the network map to see where the network has weaknesses. Rule 2. Keep names sensible. Clear names make MQTT debugging painless later. Often devices will pair with the manufacturer's name and the product name, like Aqara Wireless Mini Switch T1, for example. Having 10 of those on your network will just lead to confusion. So it's usually best to give them a friendly and descriptive name, such as bedroom wall button or something like that. I call all of mine Jeff, and it causes no end of problem. Rule 3. Back it up.
Back it up!
The configuration lives in a single folder. Protect that folder. I've lost my Z2M installation before, and it was a massive nightmare having to repair each and every device to my network, and then re-add all of them to Node-RED and Home Assistant. Rule 4. Don't update just for fun. If it ain't broke, don't fix it absolutely applies here. It's not common, but firmware updates have been known in the past to remove functionality from some devices and have even rendered others inoperable. As mentioned earlier, if your devices are working fine, don't feel like you have to update the firmware, and if you do, give it at least a week. Personally, I do actually update the firmware as my ADHD won't let me ignore the update notifications that Home Assistant shows me, but I always give it at least a week to make sure it's not a janky update. Rule 5, keep the coordinator clear of influence. Wi-Fi routers and USB 3 ports are its natural enemies. Whilst Zigbee is not Wi-Fi, it's still a radio signal and is subject to the same interference as any other radio wave. It's usually good practice to plug your Zigbee coordinator into a USB extension cable and then keep the coordinator away from any potential sources of interference. So that's Zigbee2MQTT, the open source bridge that turns a pile of mismatched Zigbee devices into one clean unified network. Nobody has a clue what anyone else is saying, but we're all Zigbee, so we just get along just fine. Just like the English and the Scottish. Oh, wait, no, hang on. If this helped you, or at least entertained you, you weirdo, click subscribe and give me a like while you're down there. That will tell the algorithm that you think this is a good video and will really help my channel to grow, so thank you in advance. This What the Heck video is part of an ongoing series, so hit the bell if you want YouTube to tell you when the next one drops. And the next time somebody rants to you that they have too many bloody apps for their supposedly smart home, tell them to install Zigbee2MQTT. And when they say, what the heck is Zigbee2MQTT? You'll get to be all smug. Ta-ra!